Hey, it's been a while since you've seen Zak Wolf do a vlog on this YouTube channel. Well, here I am, and today I get to do a Gold Book comparison when it was adapted into one of those Picture-mation Gold Book videos. Yep, the 1985 Little Gold Book adaptation of Little Red Riding Hood.
Hey, no fair! I'm the co-host of Gold Book Video Killers! Why can't I do it?
Come on, Daffy, I remember how you acted when you and Grumpy looked at the video this appeared in 3 Fairy Tale Classics. And I remember how you were really grossed out by what happened to the wolf at the end. And since I'm a wolf myself, I'm up to the challenge.
Fair enough.
Okay then, so this book was illustrated by Marsha Winborn. Same illustrator as Big Bird Brings Spring to Sesame Street. Also known over this channel for the hilarious YouTube poop of it. And it was published at the same time as well. The opening here is largely the same, though the video adds this brief bit.
Filled with sweet-smelling flowers, friendly animals, and some that were not so friendly.
Yeah, there's no rabbit in this book. Golden Book video added that, presumably so the forest would seem so menacing. They also both mention that the grandmother made the girl the red cloak and hood, which is of course why everybody called her Little Red Riding Hood. Then there's this part where the mother prepares the basket of fruit and cakes and honey. It's pretty much the same in both versions. Now originally in classic tellings of the tale, it's cakes and wine, but you can't mention wine in a children's book nowadays. Also, both of the mother warning Red as she leaves to be careful going through the forest and not to dawdle along the way, along with an additional warning in the video version.
And don't talk to strangers!
To grandmother's house, la la la, quick as a mouse, la la da da, through the trees.
That really slow up-down effect is pretty amusing. They just took this illustration as a cutout against the forest mecha, making it look like cheesy Flash animation or something. Speaking of which, I like how the effect of the Great Grey Wolf, as the book calls it, stepping out from behind the tree is presented.
As Little Red Riding Hood skipped along the path, she didn't notice that someone was watching her.
And of course, I like how the video gave the wolf a deep, sassy-sounding voice.
Good morning, little girl, and where are you going on this fine day? Grandmother, ah, yes, and where might she live? On the other side of the forest? Ah, a long way off for a little girl with a heavy basket.
I can see they were trying to make him seem somewhat less intimidating that way, but at times it doesn't help much. Also, this illustration of Little Red Riding Hood gets reused numerous times throughout the story. Famous pose, as Daffy calls it.
Yes, she's not feeling well, so I am taking her a treat. But I mustn't talk to you anymore. You're not my friend. Good morning, friend Woodcutter. I'm going to grandmother's.
Much of the text here is the same, with the wolf convincing Red to pick some wildflowers and saying it's not dawdling. Then, when the wolf arrives at Grandma's house, the text mentions him saying in a high voice, "It is I, Little Red Riding Hood. I have brought you fruit and cakes and honey." That brings up another point. In this book, somehow the wolf already knows Little Red Riding Hood's name. Maybe he'd seen her from a distance before and overheard her, or her mother or grandmother or something. So the video version had him not really know her name, in addition to calling her little girl, as he already saw. Then when he's trying to gain entrance into grandmother's house in a very unusual sounding falsetto.
It is I, your little grandchild. Speak up! I can't hear you!
Ah, just as I thought, deaf as a post.
Your little granddaughter. I have brought you fruit and cakes and honey.
What was with that echo in his voice? Did they just try to pitch shift it up or something? I know some cartoons would do that if a man was voicing a female character. Then comes the scene where the wolf gets into the cottage and eats the grandmother whole. And the video played it out in a freaky manner that ends up in zooming into the wolf's eye like a logo or commercial or some kind. It's one of the most infamous bits of the video, and I remember Daffy and Grumpy's hilarious reaction to it. Yep, the wolf eye zoom followed by Daffy zooming into the camera and ramming into it.
Hey, it's not my fault that scene was so freaky.
That illustration of the wolf licking his chops is also used in a brief bit added among leaving to get to grandmother's house first, where the wolf talking to himself while animated in an unusual manner.
Oh, a silly old woman sick in bed, waiting for company with her door open, I bet.
Then after he puts on the grandma's nightcap and goes under the covers, they made an amusing modified illustration of this, replacing the real grandmother with the wolf's head with that same nightcap placed on him.
Now to sound like grandmother. Ah, who's that?
The sweet child I've been waiting for? Wonderful. I've been planning for your visit.
This illustration through the window here also got used for the wolf practicing his grandmother voice, ending with a creepy Vincent Price-ish laugh.
Hello, my dear. Yes, that's it.
Jeez, Animagination silhouette animations could look pretty weird. And after much of the dialogue here is the same, albeit with the wolf as grandmother say she was expecting Red to come. That illustration of Red also got used a couple of times for Red trying to sing to her grandmother on a blank background in the usual Goldbook video fashion. They also use that same face on the next page's illustration, where Red opens the door and cuts to her original face here to show her expression changing among seeing how different her grandmother looks. They also drew out that whole "what big body parts you have" bit for the video, with the wolf asking for Red to sing to her.
Now come close and sing me a little song.
La la la, I'll bring a treat. Oh, Grandmother, what big ears you have.
Big ears? Why, the better to hear you with, my dear. Now come closer so I may hear your little song.
I like how it looks of his ears poking out from the quill. But then things soon get pretty freaky. There's the illustration they modified and zoomed into earlier for the wolf eating the grandmother, and the way the big reveal gets used in the video.
Oh, Grandmother, what big teeth you have.
Of course, my sweet child.
That is to eat you with, my dear.
Jeez, they were really pushing it with that booming echo. Were they intentionally trying to scare little kids or something? Now here comes the biggest difference of all. It says, "The better to eat you with," said the wolf. And he grabbed Little Red Riding Hood and gobbled her up whole. Then, feeling full and satisfied, the wolf lay down and fell asleep. I know how that feels. After having a filling meal and taking a nap afterward. Yeah, this is one of those versions of the story where in addition to the grandmother, the wolf actually eats Little Red Riding Hood. The video instead just had the wolf chase Red around the house for some time using recycled illustrations.
The wolf sprang from the bed. Round and round the bed he chased her. I'll get you. I'll get you.
You'll never get away. I'll get you.
I guess they felt their adaptation of the book was already intense enough without that gruesome detail. But yeah, this illustration of the wolf laying on the bed still got used after he ate the grandma.
That was easy as stealing chickens. And the fun's not over yet.
Kind of a waste not, want not thing when it comes to book illustrations. Then we get this part of the book. Now, it happened that a woodcutter was passing grandmother's cottage just then. He knew the old woman had been feeling poorly and he decided to look in on her. The video introduced the woodcutter earlier on in the story when the wolf was on his way to grandmother's cottage.
Up through the forest, past a woodcutter. I wonder where that crafty fellow is off to in such a hurry. I'll bet he's up to no good.
And he also meets up with Little Red Riding Hood as she is heading to grandmother's cottage.
Meanwhile, Little Red Riding Hood skipped past the woodcutter. Good morning, Little Red Riding Hood.
Good morning, friend Woodcutter. I'm going to grandmother's.
Have a nice walk. First the wolf sneaked past, and now Little Red Riding Hood. I wonder...
One of those illustrations of the woodcutter was actually of a different character from another golden book, modified to look like the woodcutter here, and instead of just passing by is in the book. This happens in the video during the chase.
But the woodcutter, suspicious of the wolf, had followed Little Red Riding Hood. What a commotion! It's the wolf!
Oh man, here it comes. When he saw the wolf snoring on the bed, he knew at once what had happened. "I have you at last, you devil," he said, and he slew the wolf with his axe. The video also retains that homicide, but fortunately it's not graphic.
You terrible wolf! What have you done? You'll do no more! With one blow of his mighty axe, he destroyed the wolf and freed grandmother.
It's woodcutters like him that are making wolves a danger to North America. Oh, and here it also says, then the woodcutter took a carving knife and very carefully he slit open the wolf's belly. I'll pop Little Red Riding Hood and the grandmother safe and whole, just as the wolf had swallowed. Yeah, that illustration of Red you saw a few times earlier in the video was from this picture, the woodcutter pulling Red out of the wolf's corpse. Of course, the video leaves out the gruesome detail of the woodcutter cutting open the wolf.
Oh, thank heavens you rescued me. But where is my grandchild? Where?
The woodcutter pulled Little Red Riding Hood out from under the bed.
Then Little Red Riding Hood, the grandmother, and the murdered woodcutter feast on the fruit and cakes and honey and live happily ever after. The video version adds this minor details, a bit more padding.
Grandmother, that wicked old wolf tore my cape right here.
Oh my, a little mending will make it as good as new. But I'm happy that I don't have to repair you.
And you never will, Grandmother. I will never dawdle in the forest again. Never. And I won't talk to strangers either.
Yeah, and both the book and the video's narration close out with never to be troubled by the wicked wolf again. Because he's dead.
Yeah, that was a pretty violent context for a Golden Book video. I remember how thick it made me and Grumpy feel.
I understand, Daffy. It's also interesting how they pulled off those picturamation effects and such. Well, clearly without any computer assistance. But nowadays it'd be interesting to see how they'd handle such a partial animation adaptation of a Golden Book. Thanks to modern digital manipulation techniques, they could probably take them even further, in addition to making the process a lot easier. I mean, a lot of those cheesy effects you saw could have easily been pulled off in Toon Boom or Adobe Animate or whatever. Heck, you saw what a great job I did with steamed hams as a Golden Book video. And I just did that on Photoshop and Final Cut Pro. Of course, regarding that Little Red Riding Hood fairy tale, at least it made for a fun Halloween costume for me to wear last year. I mean, a Toon Big Bad Wolf should wear grandmother's clothing at least once, right? And I plan to bring that out when I go to Fur Apocalypse later in October. Yes, you heard that right. I'm going to my first out-of-state furry con this year. Fur Apocalypse in Stamford, Connecticut. A Halloween-themed con, so it's just perfect. It won't be cheap, but it's probably going to be worth every penny, and something fun for me to try out. That foxy gumshoe Sam Valentino will also accompany me there, but it's still 3 months away, so in the meantime, keep watching me and the others on this YouTube channel.